Hey there, it's Claude Larson. I'm in my studio and I just want to talk to you a little bit about doing shallow work and doing deep work. Now, this is an idea from Cal Newport. I don't know if you've read or heard of Cal Newport. He's written a lot of books about it. I think mostly he thinks of it in like a business type setting, but I think it also applies to art. And these sketchbooks are what I consider shallow work. Shallow work it's low risk, it's free flowing, it's things that you do to explore, to experiment, to get ideas, but it's not something where you're super ultra focused and you have a specific goal or outcome that you're working towards. And so I pulled out some of my sketchbooks. I have a lot more, but I just wanted to make some points. So in this sketchbook, I was literally, I had my grandson here. He loves to make collage. He loves to do creative things. And I took out a piece of paper, and while he was doing collage, I made this little collage. And this ended up being a huge series for me, just from messing around with, I don't know, he was probably 4 years old at the time, just messing around with cutting paper and laying down color and shape. So this was shallow work. This was low risk. I was just goofing around. I stuck it in here in my inspiration one because I don't know, I liked it. It kind of came out okay. And I have lots of things in here that I like. Sometimes it's just I like the color palette, so I keep a picture. I love circles, so I kept that picture. This very subtle stuff. Again, it's just ideas. It's low risk. This was another one. I know I've shown this in a blog post. I don't know if I think I've shown it in a video, but you know, this one just gets me thinking, what elements of art do I want to have? Do I want the piece to have cool colors, warm colors, complementary colors? Do I want it to be, big and bold? Do I want it to be lightweight, dark or light? What features do I want? And just by having this to review, do I want it to be somewhat balanced, or do I like this tension of something off balance? This tends to be more my go-to, but not always. And this is something, if I'm going to be working on or thinking about doing a whole body of work, I will consider what is it that I want to have in there. Do I want it to be loose, messy? Do I want it to be more slow and careful? Do I want it to have lots of texture? Would I rather it be more smooth and solid in color? It's something to consider. This was play. This was me doing shallow work, putting together ideas of what are opposites, right? Whole versus in pieces, transparent versus opaque, subtle versus bold, right? But it helps me when I'm trying to hone in on what I want a body of work to convey. So this one is another one I made using old book pages and some painted papers that I had left over from a series. And it's a collection of ideas, of shapes that I have put together in here. This ended up, this was play. I mean, it is on Bristol board. I originally thought, I might mat these and put them in my shop. And then I ended up punching holes in them and putting them in this sketchbook. But this turned out to give me ideas not only for some art quilts, but for a host of other collage pieces that I did. This was play. I made these in probably, 15 minutes each, if that. I was just messing around. I was just seeing, what happens when you put one and one together. But this shallow, fast, experimental, exploratory stuff led me to a series of I don't know, maybe 20, 25 pieces that I made. Here was another one. I was just messing around with transparency, because when you work mostly with fiber, transparency isn't really something that you think about. You think about color and shape, but you know, fabric is opaque. So I just started playing around with shapes and transparency. This ended up being, I want to say, 2 years of me working in a series. I haven't even explored all of the ideas in this book, but it was a jumping off point for a larger series. These were, I would set a timer. I had these little 6x6 pieces of cheap paper. I'd set a timer, I want to say for like 20 minutes. And I'd come down here in the morning and I'd work on them for 20 minutes. When the timer went off, that was it. They were done. I'd let them dry and I'd stick them in the sketchbook the next day when they were dry. And it gave me lots of stuff to look at, to explore what happens. You know, I ended up using this scribble shape quite a bit. Where did it start? It started in here. So, you know, again, this was play. This was shallow work. I was not investing a lot of time in it. And it ended up giving me years of return just for playing around a little bit. Now this one is just some sketches that I made of very random things. Scissors, a hole punch, a palette knife, a spool of thread. You know, there's nothing exciting in here. My goal was not to suddenly become, you know, somebody who draws glass bottle stoppers or binder clips. The goal here was to increase my power of observation. And from doing this shallow work, low investment, 6x6 pieces of cheap paper and some pencils, I ended up really honing my power of observation of what shapes actually are. Is a round button round? Well, it is straight on, but it's not from most of the other directions that you look at it. You know, where does light and shadow fall? Things like that. It has made me very aware of light and shadow especially when I'm outdoors, but as I do my work, I see where they fall. Just one last one in here. This was when I started cutting up stuff. I just had some old work. I wasn't trying to do anything in particular. I was cleaning out my studio after I had a little problem with water coming through the ceiling. And I just started cutting these up. And what happened from this is that I actually sanded down probably 20 cradle panels that had some of my older work on it, repurposed the panels, and I made a whole different body of work. And that work doesn't look anything like this. This unlocked for me, you can let go. You can get rid of stuff that no longer serves you, and it's okay, right? We can't save everything. And so, you know, again, lesson learned. Why? Because I was playing, it was experimental, it was low risk, it was work I didn't want to hold on to anyway. So really, what did it matter? Now, the second part of this is that by doing the experimental, low risk, shallow, takes 10 minutes, takes 20 minutes, by investing in that stuff, it allows you to do the deeper work. And the deeper work is you go into your creative space and you are focused, uninterrupted, not taking text messages, not having visitors come in, and you are looking at your craft, whatever that is. If it's quilting, great. If it's painting, great. If it's working with clay, great. There's no bad thing that you can make. I mean, I guess there is, but we're not talking about that here. It allows you, because now you have primed the pump, it allows you to pull the ideas and go deep into studying them, working through them. Is it still experimental? A little, because not every idea is going to pan out. Not every piece of art that you make is going to pan out. But by having set yourself up, by doing the shallow work, and I'm calling it shallow work, it's still meaningful. Okay, but you can do it with, maybe there's music playing, maybe there's something else happening around you, maybe you're doing it in a coffee shop, whatever. Okay, maybe, you know, because you can certainly sit there in a coffee shop with a set of pencils and some paper and do some sketching. You could sketch your coffee cup, you could sketch the whatever's on the table at a coffee shop. You can do those things. It's not deep, focused work that requires you to be 100% uninterrupted. They both have value, right? Your best work is going to come because you have set yourself up and opened your mind up to the possibility of what you could make. And that's what you need to get started. Play around. Invest a little time. Low risk. Don't worry about how the sketchbook turns out. Some of these pages in here are great. Some of them are worthless. It doesn't matter. I say they're worthless. But then again, sometimes the littlest thing, it could be anything from, like, I cut out this paper from a magazine and the only thing I really liked about it was the color palette. And that color palette will appear in my work down the road. So think about investing some time in whatever you play at, right? In your sketchbook, maybe you make, things with clay. I mean, the nice thing about that is you can make things, and then if you add water, you have clay again, right? So you can experiment without investing in all the materials. These are cheap sketchbooks, inexpensive paper, cut up old work, old collage papers. There's nothing precious in here. And what happens because I can do this freely is that I can then focus on the bigger project or the series that I want to do because I have grown these ideas. All right, that's it. Go get a sketchbook. It doesn't have to be expensive. And figure out what you want to low risk play with. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.